A dozen outdoor groups say private landowners are closing off access to treasured recreational areas for fear of being liable if accidents occur. And they say ambiguities in the Health and Safety at Work Act 2015 have seen an erosion of access as landowners protect themselves from culpability. A coalition of associations, including the likes of mountain clubs, climbing access groups, NZ Fish and Game, caving and canoeing and hang gliding, many more, all say recreational activities should be clearly separated from workplace health and safety legislation, adding it has significantly encroached and impinged on recreation activities in the country, where hundreds of thousands of Kiwis enjoy getting outdoors, whether it be to hunt, fish, tramp, kayak, or whatever. Another group that's added its name to the list is the New Zealand Deerstalkers Association. Joining me now is their CEO, Gwyn Thurlow. Gwyn, good to talk to you again.
Yeah, good afternoon and thanks for having me.
Hey, Gwyn, there's quite a mixture of outdoor groups that have put their names to this kind of group, this coalition, which shows hundreds of thousands of Kiwis possibly being affected. Can you walk us through what the problem is?
Yeah, the weight of the group is significant, and I want to emphasise that. So this is all the tramping clubs, the hunting clubs, the recreationalists, and the people that want to get out there every weekend. And the nub of the issue sort of came from 2015 when the government introduced new laws around WorkSafe, and that's had a stifling effect on landowners and land managers. So, it extends to anywhere that could be a workplace, and if you're a farm, that could be your farm, or if it's a forest, it's a forestry block, and it extends to government. So on conservation land, DOC could have a workplace, and iwi land. And so one of the major concerns is the law has put a lot of duties, a lot of responsibilities, and a lot of potential risk on those people. And the upshot is no one's willing to take a risk to let people recreate on their land. They can't charge a small fee because then they become liable under the Act, and then it's really unclear whether conservation is excluded from liability. So for a long time we've always had a principle of no liability and self-responsibility and freedom to recreate without liability for the people that manage the land that you're on. So it's a complex issue, and we're certainly being told we can't access parts of New Zealand now.
So what you're saying, they've cast basically this Act of 2015 has cast the wet net like so wide, it's become almost impossible for landowners or those that look after the land to pretty much rule out a liability risk. And how has this affected hunters or your members? Has it? What have you heard?
So we're actually an interesting case because our branches do a little bit of recreation through hunting. We do a lot of volunteering through hut and track management, pest trapping, and then we want to do conservation work, so we'll help DOC manage backcountry huts. And we're seeing it on all land types, so we're really regulated by DOC when we're doing our volunteering. It's really hard to get onto farmland where there are deer or rabbits or possums that want to be shot. Farmers don't want to invite clubs and recreations on because they're worried that if something was to go wrong that they'd be in court and facing huge fines. So it's not a real risk, so there are some exclusions. So the law does allow recreation to happen on some land, but the landowners just don't want to take any risk at all, and so they'd rather not have the problem, not have the hassle, than to try and understand a complex law.
Do you know what the consequences are for them if someone did get hurt? I mean, you said fines. Do you actually know what these owners could actually end up in court over?
Well, the best one is the White Island, the Whakaari White Island directors. So the operating company there, they've received huge penalties, and they were operating that activity on the island and visitors, and it has repercussions through the way that's reported in the media. And then other people that say want to have tramping groups or walkers or kayakers come through their land, they just don't want to have that risk put on their business, and so they just say you cannot access through my property anymore. So we face it all the time, One way that the Deerstalkers gets around it is we actually take out a $10 million public liability insurance. So
Wow.
all of our members are insured when they're recreating, because forestry blocks require insurance from us. And so we've actually taken on ourselves to put in place a rather large policy that our members benefit from in our clubs.
Jeez. Shouldn't have to do that, though, should you? You would think.
Well, yeah, that's actually the nub of the submission that we jointly made to IMBY, was that we shouldn't have to do that. Let's have a conversation around making sure that if you're volunteering for conservation or you're recreating, that there is no liability, and just make it real clear to the land managers, landowners, that they can invite these groups of volunteers or clubs or recreationists onto their property without liability.
So any outdoor recreational activity, Gwyn, I mean, there's no such thing as zero risk, is there? I mean, something could happen, but should the onus fully be on the person engaging in these activities? That's what you want to see.
Yeah, that's right.